Ich hoffe, man hört mich und versteht mich schon mal. Ich kann ja schon mal für euch singen. Das ist gut. Es kann sein, dass Brandon sich etwas verspätet, was bei ihm völlig normal ist. So. Schön. Also, ich kann ja eigentlich auch schon mal switchen. Hey, mein Gesang ist einmalig gut. Handy schweigt leider. Ja, ich kann ja singen, wenn ihr möchtet. Nein. Ich warte noch ein bisschen. Er müsste bald kommen und dann schauen wir mal. Es wird lustig. Bei meinem Englisch ist das phänomenal. Ihr werdet viel lachen. Wenn ihr Fragen habt, postet die schon mal. Die kann ich ihm dann nachher stellen, ne? Erste Stream mit ihm in Deutsch. Schauen wir mal. Ich bin sehr gespannt. Hallo Helge, hallo Artego, Michael. Link habe ich ihm geschickt. Ich warte nur noch, dass er kütt. Aber so lange kann ich ja schon mal meinen Cappuccino trinken. Und das müsst ihr euch auch erstmal trauen, ne? Mit beschissenem Englisch und dann ein Interview führen mit einem Amerikaner. Ich habe mit Brandon schon viel gelacht deswegen. Aber wir können trotzdem kommunizieren. Zur Not mit Google Translate. Habt ihr denn schon mal ein paar Fragen? Haut mal rein hier. Ich will den zuballern. Okay. Ich weiß dann schon seine Antwort. Guten Abend, Heidi. Ja, die kann ich ja jetzt schon beantworten, wie die Amerika und Europa. Schauen wir mal. Den Stream mache ich extra mit Zoom, weil so ist das einfacher. Muss man nicht einbinden und hat keine asynchronen Ton. My English not the yellow of the egg. I think I spider. What? Hä? Okay. Ja, dann werdet ihr gleich Brandon das erste Mal erleben. Ist ein sehr netter, sympathischer, humorvoller Mensch. The DC is present. Was meinst du mit DC? DC? Ich warte jetzt halt darauf, dass er in den Warteraum kommt. Aber er sagt, bis spätestens Viertel nach ist er da. Und danach hat er auch noch ein Meeting. Der Arme. Dampferzuflucht, jo. Okay. Hallo Semikolons, ich grüße dich. Ich bin echt sehr gespannt. Das wird funny. Und verzeiht meine englische Aussprache, ja? Der hat das hier noch gar nicht gesehen. Oh. Schönes Shield, schönes Shield. Echt? Okay, Google. Wie viel Uhr haben wir in Ohio?
Es ist 12:02 Uhr in Ohio, USA.
Oh, 12 Uhr haben sie da. Okay. Ich habe ihn gefragt, wann er es machen möchte. Er hat dann gesagt, 18 Uhr ist okay. Also Europe Time. Hallo Silke. Dann ist er bestimmt sehr müde, weil normalerweise ist er oft bis 3, 4 Uhr europäischer Zeit unterwegs. Ja, das weiß ich, Timmy, dass du wegen meinen Englischkenntnissen hier bist. Ja, du willst dich nur lustig machen. Aber denk dran, ich habe ein Video von dir, ne? Okay, dann muss ich jetzt mal eben nachgucken. So. Abends okay. Semikolons. Ich denke mal, der Brandon möchte natürlich erstmal über das neue Reflex sprechen. Und natürlich, ich weiß ja mehr Dinge, aber ich kann ja halt nicht alles sagen. Aber ich stelle ihm dann entsprechende Fragen. Und wenn er dann darauf antworten möchte, kann das ja machen. Hm? Ja, Timmy, ich würde dich nie erpressen. Ich habe das Video auch gar nicht mehr. Schwöre ich dir. So ein Mensch bin ich nicht. Was? Der Günther ist noch unterwegs? Okay. Aber Silke, bitte lache nicht über mein Englisch. Ich muss auch manchmal Google Translate benutzen, weil mir Worte nicht einfallen und so. Aber das funktioniert immer. Der Brandon weiß doch noch gar nicht, dass der 2 Simox kriegt. Die habe ich nämlich noch hier liegen. Einmal Silber, einmal Black. Von Günther und Silke. Aber für Brandon das, aber mir fehlt ein schwarzer für Brandon. Ja, Silke, so ist das manchmal. Aber vielleicht hat Brandon das gewusst und ist deswegen später dran. Nein, der ist immer zu spät. Immer. Ich habe noch nie erlebt, dass der pünktlich kam. Ich glaube auch, dass Rob von Stealthweb zuschaut. Rob, are you here? Oh, jetzt Köder. Jetzt Köder. So.
I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay, okay.
Guten Abend.
Oh. Welcome to Germany.
Mm-hmm. And,
the Elon Musk of vaping. Brandon. And coffee. Brandon
and
without coffee, no go.
I wake up very late because I stay up very late. I have vampire hours. So, I go to bed usually 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and wake up at right around noon. So this is very early for me.
I know. Wait, könnt ihr den Brandon verstehen? I make question to the chat. Komm, sag mal was. Kann man ihn gut verstehen? YouTube delay. Yo, okay. The people understand you. All right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
First, I have question and the people outside interesting it.
Okay.
I think. Evolv DNA. What is DNA?
We didn't. Nothing special. It's not. It's not an acronym. It's just DNA. It's not. We never matched it up with words. So it's just DNA.
Okay.
I know that's the boring. I know that's the boring answer. I know you want to hear that it means something super secret, but it really doesn't.
Okay, I translate. Also
Okay.
das DNA bei den Boards hat keinerlei Bedeutung. Das ist einfach so entstanden, ne? DNA halt. Okay. Oh, Brad, you are so tired.
It's okay. I'm gonna get some coffee in me. I'll be fine.
Yeah. Coffee is good. Passt, okay. I think you want to say about Reflex.
Yeah. Well, are you asking about Reflex?
Habt ihr Fragen bezüglich Reflex? Dann haut mal raus. Reflex, it comes in USA and Europe or over the world?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we just last week got our TPD registration in for Germany. So yes, Germany and UK will be the first two countries to have it in Europe.
Okay.
We're ready to go in the UK. Germany takes a little bit longer, from what I understand. So,
okay.
But we do have a couple of distributors who are interested in it.
Yeah. Intrade. I have call with Intrade for 3 days. Please say Brandon, he must answer our mail.
Yes, I've been slow to answer them, but I think Intrade and I do know Xtrade as well. I don't know if they're going to carry it, but certainly I know those guys. And I had talked to them about the Reflex almost 2 years ago. When I just happened to bump into them in China. They were in China. I was in China, and I bumped into the guys from Xtrade. They're very nice guys. And at that time, I had talked to them about this product, thinking it would be out a lot sooner than it is, but because of pandemic and all of those things, we didn't get it out quite as quickly as we wanted to. So
I have a say, and now I am out.
what's that?
In trade. I have said it to you, and I'm out now.
Oh, okay.
Also, es kommt in England raus und in Deutschland auch, aber es dauert halt wegen der Anmeldung, das wissen wir ja alle. I think in England, Rob, a lot?
Yeah, England. We are releasing this wide to Europe, but the two countries we focused on early were Germany and the UK.
Okay. Also England macht das Stealth Vape und Deutschland muss er noch halt verhandeln. Will the Reflex have the same pricing model in Germany as in the US?
No.
Or will it be just a fixed price?
It'll be just a fixed price. Somewhere in between. I'm not sure exactly where In Trade is going to price it. We have an idea of where we'd like it priced, but that's, we have to discuss that.
Okay.
It's not a, yeah.
Also der Preis steht noch nicht ganz fest, das muss auch halt noch geschaut werden. Brandon hat schon eine Idee, welche Summe. Ich glaube, die habe ich euch auch mal genannt und schauen wir mal. The next question, when will it be able to order the Reflex in Germany? You don't know.
I don't know yet. Soon. I mean, we have stock. We're sending that to Europe, so it's going to land in the UK. As soon as, I would like to get this there very soon. That's our want, is to get it to Germany very soon. I don't know how the laws work from a cross-border standpoint, because we're allowed to sell in the UK now because we're registered in the UK. Unfortunately, Germany takes up to 6 months to process a registration. But I don't know if there's a way to make that shorter. I wish there were.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, unfortunately. So I'm unsure when it'll be available in Germany. It seems a shame, because Germany is, for DNA, is one of our best markets. It is a market where people understand the technology. Maybe it's a German thing, but we'd like to have it there immediately, but unfortunately, because of the bureaucracy, we can't get it there right away.
Translate. Also die Anmeldung, wisst ihr ja selber, dauert ja 6 Monate und Brandon hofft, dass es verkürzt werden kann. Habe ich ihm dann gesagt, dass es nicht funktioniert. Und also die Anmeldung läuft noch gar nicht und also könnt ihr noch ein halbes Jahr rechnen. Aber man kann die wahrscheinlich demnächst dann über Umwege, über Stealth Vape schon mal ordern. So, okay. Okay, next question. How long did it take to develop the Reflex? And what goals do you want to achieve with it?
Okay. We'll start with the first part of that question. It took us approximately 3 years. Well, 2 years really. 2 years plus a little. We started work on the Reflex in 2014. We had it in a releasable state in 2016, about mid-year, about mid-year 2016. And the reason was we had to rush it due to things going on in the United States. From a regulatory standpoint, this was a product we had been working on. We were not expecting to have to get it ready as quickly as we had. So from 2016 to now, we had sort of put it in our pocket and not released it, partially because we were busy with other things, and partially because we were preparing for mass production of these units, and that took some time. Because we were stuck with the design that we had finished in 2016, it was a lot harder from a mass production standpoint than we had originally anticipated. Then you add the pandemic and you add all of the other things that happened in the last 2 years in vaping, and it delayed the release about 2 years.
Okay, translate. So. Also 2015 fing die Entwicklung an mit dem Reflex, 2016 war dann so das erste Ding sozusagen fertig und das hat alles lange gedauert, auch wegen der Anmeldung in der USA etc. Und dann natürlich jetzt wegen Covid-19 etc. hat sich das dann nochmal verzögert. Also angefangen hat es 2015, 5 Jahre insgesamt, was eine verdammt lange Zeit ist, nicht wahr? So, ja, und sie wollten halt was Kleines haben, was easy in die Tasche passt und glaubt mir, wenn ihr das Ding in der Tasche habt, ihr merkt das gar nicht. Das ist total irre. So, okay.
And there was, I think there was a second part to that question. I think it was,
Yes.
What was it? Read it again. I think they asked why we did this. Was that the question?
Yes. Why?
Okay, why?
What
Okay.
goals do you want to achieve with it?
Okay. The reason that we did this was that we spend a lot of time, at least in the US and in Europe, in vape shops, places like that. And what we saw was we've always strived to solve the cigarette. And we didn't feel like we had made a lot of progress on that since about 2013, 14. It seemed like we were focused more on the hobbyist rather than solving the problem of, converting smokers to a less risky alternative like vaping. So we started to look at why smokers didn't, we were only converting about 20% of the people that tried, 20% of the smokers that tried an e-cigarette were converting to e-cigarettes. And we wanted to answer, we wanted to quantify why weren't they switching? And one of the things we came up with is the fact that all e-cigarettes to that point and to the point where this was released worked in exactly the opposite way of a cigarette. So when you'd hand this to a smoker, it was like driving a car that when you would turn right, the wheel would go left. So we wanted to give them something that was more like a cigarette. The other thing that was surprising, because you would think this was a product that would only appeal to smokers or people just transitioning, was that when we gave these to vapers, people who had been vaping for 4 or 5 years, they absolutely loved it. And I think, if they were an ex-smoker, if they weren't an ex-smoker, if they were somebody who had initiated use on an e-cigarette, they didn't like it. But the people who were ex-smokers, even if they had been vaping for 6 years, tried this. And I think it brought back, because nobody quit smoking because they didn't like it. They quit smoking because it was unhealthy. And, using this for me, I've been vaping for over 11 years. And when I started using this, which was quite a number of years ago, it was something clicked in my head, being an ex-smoker, that made me always reach for this because it just was comfortable. It was something I was used to. It was, it was more like a cigarette.
By me too. I have vape it and my brain say, oh, a cigarette. And my heart, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Also, hat sich den Markt so angeschaut.
Yeah, right. No, I'm with you. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm translated. Hat sich den Markt angeschaut, so was es in den Shops gibt und so. Und Brandon bzw. Evolv möchte halt gerne auch die Umsteiger ansprechen. Und dann haben sie sich halt überlegt, was sie machen können, weil halt, das habe ich euch ja schon mal gesagt, weil ja Dampfen genau das Gegenteilige ist vom Rauchen, Bezug Wärme etc. pp. Ich mache jetzt Kurzfassung. Und dementsprechend haben sie dann geschaut und entwickelt und das wird die Raucher halt ansprechen, denke ich auch mal. Okay. Zuki question. Reflex is draw activated, right? So I guess it's not intended for advanced users.
Oh, that's right? Not true. That's not true. So his contention is that it has to have a button to be, this uses a wholly new control system. So
an easy control system.
an easy control system, but I would argue that a button is an easy control system. This is just, but it's also a control system where you control the power. So I would say this device is the ancestor of the DNA 250C. This has all of the things that the 250C has in it. This is actually based on the 250C board, but it does things like measure airflow, vary wattage based on airflow, model a cigarette. So it does a lot more than what a DNA 250 does. So I would say that, if you're looking at something as, is it more advanced than a DNA 250C? Oh my God, yes. It's twice as accurate as a 250C. So this board has more technology in it than any board we've ever released to date. Way more technology. And it's also based on the DNA 250C platform. I see a lot of people write, oh, that's based on the DNA Go. No, this is a very, very, very complex board. Is it good for the hobbyist? No, there's not a lot you can change with it. Our experience so far in the US has been that when the hobbyist picks this up, it does go into their rotation. They do appreciate all of the technology that is in here. It's just not as user accessible as it could be. And there are ways of getting into the technology of this through eScribe that somebody will figure out. And that's where it gets really interesting, because there's a lot of very very complex tech in this that is accessible through eScribe, just not easily accessible.
Okay, wait, also in diesem kleinen Scheißer ist mehr Technik als beim DNA 250C, was ja logisch ist. Also er basiert darauf vom Grundprinzip. Und lesen und antworten gleichzeitig. Und er geht hin, misst natürlich den Widerstand etc. pp, die Luft, die reinkommt, und das ist sehr komplex, dies dann zu berechnen, und durch euren Zug bestimmt ihr ja auch, wie viel Leistung drauf gegeben wird. Ist natürlich die Frage, ob du das meinst, Suki, mit für Advanced Users, weil konfigurieren kann man, configuration in eScribe is not so big.
No, we did that on purpose. Because this model is a cigarette exactly, there aren't a lot of parameters that you can change without fundamentally changing the way this works. Those are accessible. We're just not showing those right now. Now, I'm not saying that we won't in the future open that up a little bit so that people can see what's going on. But right now, from a standpoint of, we wanted to put as much tech into this as we could, but make it exceptionally easy for the user. And part of that was, making sure that everything in here was done right. That you wouldn't have to plug this into eScribe to change anything, because it's done exactly the way it should be. But that's not saying that for the hobbyists, for the enthusiast vapors, that we won't open up more and more of that for them to play with, because why not? I mean, if that's something they want, then yeah, I mean, that's something we can easily do.
Okay. Also,
I have a version of eScribe right now that, I can change everything about this. Is it something we had planned to do? No. This was more of a buy it and use it, rather than a buy it, plug it into eScribe, change it, and then use it. So,
okay. Also dort steckt sehr viel Technik drin. Man kann auch sehr viel per eScribe einstellen, aber das wollten sie nicht. Deswegen haben sie bei eScribe sehr wenig freigeschaltet. Also man kann Unmengen an diesem Ding einstellen, wenn man die entsprechende eScribe-Version hat. Und sie wollen aber schauen nach und nach, was sie öffnen können für die User da draußen, damit sie rumspielen können. What I miss in the actual eScribe is when it's fired, the airflow to make a setting. You
For
understand?
time? Like for a time, for a cutoff?
No, no. When I vape,
Mm-hmm.
soft vape, and then I can make an E-stripe, so now you fire. You understand?
But you can change that now. You can.
What?
And that,
I don't have found it.
well, I will walk you through it. That's a whole nother video. But yes, you can make it very powerful, or you can make it very weak. And I'll show you how to do that. It's not hard.
Okay.
That's already there. You just have to know how to do it. We didn't make it obvious like we have with past boards. But again, we felt like this, because it models a cigarette exactly,
Of course.
it shouldn't be changed by, we made it purposely hard to do, because we didn't want somebody who was just transitioning from cigarettes to go in and start changing things. The idea is that this will behave like a cigarette, and the minute you start changing the parameters, it no longer is acting like a cigarette, but is acting like a something quite different. But it can act quite different. It can act like a very powerful pod mod. Very powerful.
Okay, in our next private meeting, you can tell it me.
Yes.
So, okay, wo sind wir jetzt? Germany is an excellent market for everything as well. Good or bad anyway?
It's good. I love Germany. I was planning to be there in January when I was in Europe, but we weren't able to get over there. And as soon as the vaccine is done, I'd like to visit Germany. Germany is a up and coming market. The thing I love about Germany, I just absolutely love about Germany is, I read the forums. I watch the videos. I have a transcription software that tells me what everyone's saying, because my German is rusty. I took German at university, so but my German's really bad. but no, it is a market of people that seem to understand why we do what we do, and understand the technology, and want to understand the technology backwards and forwards. There's nothing more frustrating for a tech company than to go onto a forum, or and see somebody not understanding your technology and why you did the things that you did. I have never had that. I've never seen that in Germany. People seem to want to understand the technology. They get very into it. As a matter of fact, most of the activity we see with things like theme designer and so forth come from Germany now. So it's a very, very, very technical market. And that's why, our belief, that's why we wanted this to be out in Germany as soon as humanly possible, because this is more technical. This has more technological power and design in it than any other board we've ever made. Okay. By far.
Okay. Also, Brandon liebt Deutschland, vor allen Dingen, weil wir Deutschen halt immer alles genau wissen möchten, rauf und runter, vorwärts und rückwärts bezüglich Technik etc. pp. Das hat er noch nirgendwo anders gesehen, außer bei uns. Und dann ist natürlich gut, dass ihr mich dann habt, ne? Und deswegen möchte er auch so schnell wie es geht auch das Reflex in Deutschland auf den Markt bringen, weil da kann man halt noch ganz viele nette Spielereien mitmachen, und er hofft, dass das bald geschieht. And you love German Autobahn, or?
The Autobahn, I do love the Autobahn. That's right. I have a very fast car.
Yeah,
but
you drive a Mercedes.
I did. I sold the Mercedes. I sold the Geländewagen, and I bought a different car. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
A little bit faster.
So, okay.
Another German car.
You spoke about the heartbeat. I am wondering why. Is the reflex work different in terms of nicotine in comparison with a traditional e-cigarette, or is it more because of the memories?
It delivers nicotine better in a faster way than, and we did that through engineering rather than chemistry. There's two ways you can approach. One of the big problems e-cigarettes have as a category is they don't deliver nicotine as quickly as a cigarette. That is one of the problems, and there's been a few companies in the U.S. Who have tried to overcome that by simply just putting more and more nicotine into their liquid. Now, I know you can't do that in Europe because you have a 20 milligram per milliliter cap on nicotine. But so what we did was we took an engineering approach rather than try to solve it through chemistry. We tried to solve it through engineering. And what we were able to do is the reflex puts out instead of putting out a range of particle sizes, so the aerosol that comes out of the e-cigarette, in a normal e-cigarette, there's very small particles, there's very large particles, and there's a range, and it can be anywhere in between, depending on how hard you're pulling, the type of coil you have, and so forth. We instead chose one particle size, which is outside of this range. Okay, so it's outside of the normal range of an e-cigarette, and that causes it to feel different. It causes you to keep more of the vapor. So it feels like you're getting a big cloud, like a big mouthful of vapor, but when you exhale, it's less than what you expect. There's a reason for that. You're keeping more of the liquid and you're getting more of a nicotine hit. So it feels different, but there's a reason for that. And we engineered that into the product because we wanted the cigarette smoker to get that same sort of nicotine intake with each puff, but we didn't want to change the chemistry of the e-liquid. So we didn't want to mess with chemistry. Instead, we did it through engineering.
Okay. Man nimmt mehr Nikotin auf, weil bei den normalen Dampfgeräten durch die Airflow bedingt hast du halt unterschiedliche Ströme an der Wicklung und das ist bei dem Reflex-System nicht mehr. Das heißt, die ganze Coil hat einen einzigen gleichmäßigen Luftzug und dadurch ist das Nikotin, was du inhalierst, stärker und das kann ich auch bestätigen, es kommt sehr wenig Dampf raus, aber in der Lunge fühlt sich das an, als würdest du Cloud chasen sozusagen. Also ist dann sehr viel Druck hinter. Da haben sie halt lange dran getüftelt. Und deswegen sagt dann das Hirn so, oh, das ist ja mehr wie eine Zigarette. Und natürlich auch the memory effect is a second part, I think.
The memory is the second part, but it's not, realistically, the reason you feel it in your throat, you feel more of a throat hit with this, even at lower nicotines, is because of what we did with the size of the aerosol, the size of the particles coming out of it. It only puts out one size particle, not a whole range of particles from here to here. So that's it makes it more satisfying for the user. You don't have to sit there and on first thing in the morning. You can take a couple of puffs and feel very, you can feel the nicotine.
Here in the big system, I vape with 3 milligrams. And I have in this 18, and I make 3 puffs and enough.
Yeah, I had to drop my nicotine level. I was at 18, and I dropped it down to 12 because I can't. 18 is just too much.
Yes, next time I make it 2, and I on the light mode I vape it, and it's too much with 18.
Right.
Yeah. So. So will there be an updated DNA 250C board with all the options of the reflex board?
Probably not, but we're still talking about that. This isn't just a board. This is a complete system, and
a closed system.
Well, you're right. So to be able to do this properly, you have to do everything right, and it's extremely hard. It's extremely hard to do everything just right, and you have to. So if we were to release this and allow other manufacturers to build from the technology, we would very likely need to work very closely with them to make sure that they were doing things appropriately. Because if you don't have everything, the tolerances on this, the plus or minus this percentage or that percentage are very tight on this. It took us a very long time to find suppliers for the different components that could meet those very, very, very tight tolerances. Some of them are actually in Germany, because with an e-cigarette, usually, just like the coil itself, the coil needs to be plus or minus 1% tolerance. So the ohms are plus or minus 1% pod to pod to pod to pod, which is very, very difficult to do. It took a long time. The first pods that we started making mass production, we were throwing out 30% of the pods, just throwing them away. But we've got that down to about 5% now. So about 5% of the pods made we chuck because they don't meet tolerance. Things like the wicking tightness, things like the airflow has to be perfect. We're measuring airflow based on pressure, and if each airflow is not exactly the same as then it doesn't work. The whole system doesn't work. So it's very, very difficult. Now, will we put some of this into other things and release them? Yes. Will there be one of these? Will there be more versions of this with different technology? Yes, we have a follow-on technology to this, which you'll see, sometime in the future, which is really going to blow your mind. It's an add-on to this that, we feel like is going to make this even better. We won't be releasing that in the United States because we, obviously regulatorily we can't release that in the United States, but we will be releasing that elsewhere in the world. But that's a good question, and I don't have a good answer. If we're confident that the manufacturer can do it, then yes, that is something we would consider, would be to, sell the board and the system, and help them develop a system that works for this. But right now, there's nobody right now that I'm working with that we would do that with, or that we have talked about that. Nobody. So for right now, if you want this technology, you're going to have to get it, in this device.
Okay, also,
ja.
Das Reflex-System ist sehr kompliziert zu machen, weil alles sehr genau hält und alles sehr, 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 ich nenne es mal extravagant ist. Zum Beispiel die Coils müssen auf einen Millimeter genau gemacht werden, und egal welches Potting du da drauf machst, das ist immer alles so in einem 1% Range der gleiche Ohm. Und sie überlegen wegen anderen Dingern, die man dann machen kann, die dann ähnlich sind, aber ist halt nicht so einfach und also erstmal nicht. Okay.
We do have boards coming though. We do have some new things coming from a board standpoint. Those you'll see those soon.
Here's a question. Is there any plan for DNA 100, especially for the grooves? DNA 100C. All people know that 100C is coming.
Yeah, there are some new boards coming. I can't say which. There are some new boards coming. Not just one. There'll be several. New boards coming. So,
also möchte jetzt noch nicht darüber sprechen. Es kommt nicht nur ein neues Board, sondern mehrere. Okay?
Yeah, and these will be, they'll be interesting. They're going to do some different things than some of the other boards. Not a lot different, but they're we always strive to do, from an evolutionary standpoint, to do better with the next or
new
mixed
boards.
group of boards.
New boards are fine. You have my address.
Yes, I have your address.
Do Evolv ship? Was? Achso, did Evolv ship to Germany? How much is shipping and how is the lifespan of the battery?
The lifespan of the battery is well, depending on how much loss. I mean, there's going to be loss over time, but we chose a battery that has a longer life cycle, and we're not using it very hard. The battery in this device is spec'd much higher than what we're using it for, so it should last you a good long time. Our want was for the battery to last over a year, the internal battery, and they're not tremendously hard to change, so it's not all that difficult to change them, although I'm not sure after a year and a half that you wouldn't. It really depends on how hard you use it, but the battery is a very good battery. It meets all of the, there's a UL in the United States, and it's a UL listed battery, which means that it won't catch fire. It's made appropriately to be the safest, and and we also chose a battery that would last a long time. We overspec the battery for this because we knew people would want to use this for a long time.
Also die Batterie, die dort verbaut ist, hat eine sehr hohe Qualität und die wird schon eine gewisse Zeit halten und die ist auch für das, worauf das Board ausgelegt ist, sogar zu gut. Ich übersetze es jetzt mal so, genau. Bla bla bla. Okay. So Science Reflex is done now. Can we expect software updates for the DNA 75C and 250C? As in button lock and turning off not needed profiles.
Yes, we talked about this. We did talk about this. Yes, we have talked about this over time. Yes, those things have been passed on to our programming team, and they are looking at that. I did pass along the suggestions that you had, and they're all good suggestions. They're things that we overlooked and should have put into the original. So yes, we'll
I think
continue.
It's not a problem.
Yeah. Well, these are all, the good thing about our boards is they're all made on the same code base. So even our new boards are made from the same code base as the old ones. They just add more things. So anytime that we release an update, it usually goes all the way back through the board. So we can make that all retroactive to the older boards as well as the newer boards. So,
okay. Yeah. Also ich habe letzte Woche mit Brandon darüber gesprochen gehabt und da hat er mir auch direkt gesagt, dass er das sofort, er hat sich gewundert, dass es noch nicht passiert ist und er wollte da mit den Programmierern sprechen und das wird auf jeden Fall kommen und das denke ich mal sehr zeitnah. Und das Schöne ist halt, dass alle Boards mit demselben Programmcode geschrieben werden, so dass man das auch rückwirkend für alle anderen machen kann. Okay. Okay, Brandon, where will you see Evolv in 5 years? What are the next steps?
Well, the same as the last 5. There's sort of 2 sides to our business. We have we have the hobbyist side, and then we have the smoking side, and I think you're going to see advances in both of those areas. We have a lot left to do. We don't do things quickly, but that's one of the reasons that people like the Evolv boards, because we test them and we make sure that whatever new technology we're bringing out is going to work and is going to work well. Whereas a lot of other manufacturers in the space, as I'm sure you know, simply say, okay, let's just release it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, well. So we're very careful about making sure that whatever we're putting out works extremely well. And we do have a number of things that we're working on right now, both in the hobbyist or the enthusiast market, and for the for somebody who doesn't care about eScribe. And but I think what you'll see in the future is that we will be putting a lot more tech into these boards, and they'll become easier for the regular user to use, but also a lot more complex on the back end, so that the hobbyist can change a lot more. We've given the enthusiast vapor a lot of ability to change things. We can give them more ability to change things, and that is our want. The problem is you can only do so much with a board. Now we're getting into system level design, which when you get into system level design, it's a little bit different. But yeah, we certainly haven't gone as far as we can go. There are more things to come, for sure.
Okay, also die möchten mit der Technik immer weiter vorangehen, immer was Neueres entwickeln, aber gleichzeitig hingehen und welche machen für die Normal-User und halt für uns aus der German DNA Crew Gruppe. Das wird, glaube ich, sehr spannend werden, was da noch alles kommen wird. Also es ist praktisch zwei Sparten. Einmal für normale Dampfer, so wie das Reflex, sehr leicht zu bedienen etc. Und dann halt einmal für unsere Sparte. You have not answered because shipping to Germany from Evolv.
Oh, shipping to Germany. Right now we are not shipping to Germany. It's a little unclear to me how that would work with the TPD regulations. We are looking into that right now, and we don't want to. I don't want to come to Germany and be arrested. I don't know exactly how that works. I understand we're allowed to sell B2B, so we're allowed to sell devices from a business to a business, but we are not allowed to sell business to consumer, as I understand it. At this time, we can't. From a German law standpoint, I don't believe we can ship these to Germany, but I'm not sure. We are looking into that, and we also have a distributor in the UK who would be happy to ship to Germany if they are allowed to ship to Germany.
England is Europe.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
die können nicht zu Endkunden schicken wegen der TPD und der Anmeldung. Er möchte nicht dann irgendwann mal nach Deutschland kommen und im Knast landen, obwohl das hier schöner ist als in Amerika im Knast. Und aber man kann halt in Kürze bei Statesweb, beim Rob, kann man bestellen, und natürlich dann halt nach der 6-Monatsfrist werden dann hier auch Shops die dann haben.
Our hope is that InTrade, Xtrade will pick up this device and figure out a way to get it to market.
Yeah, InTrade are very, very interested.
Yes, and so I know so is Xtrade. So yes, yeah, I see that they already have it listed and haven't even spoken to me. So.
Yes, I have said to it, you have listed, but you don't know. And he said, yeah, it's a great technique, we want it, and we have it, put it in the list.
Yes, I know.
Don't answer.
When I get off this call, I will contact them.
Ja, mit dem Brexit, da müssen wir mal schauen, ne? Da wird es ja trotzdem Handelsabkommen geben. So, ich können das der Versand. Okay. What is with USB-C?
Well, again, because this was a 2016 product in the United States.
No, in the future.
Oh, in the future, absolutely. The new boards all have USB-C and quick charging, very fast charging. So.
Also, jetzt kann ich das ja offiziell sagen. Ich habe es ja schon mal ein paar Mal angetriggert. Alle kommenden DNA-Boards werden USB-C haben und verdammt schnell laden können. 3 Amperes, right?
Yes, some. Yes, some.
Also mit 3 Ampere gewisse Boards dann.
Yes. So what else? You have me. Ask anything.
Brandon, you know about your Evolv logo and,
Yes.
and the vapor production. Here, this. Oh, here,
Okay.
here you can see it better.
Yes, I gave them permission to do that.
Yes, it's so nice. And he's in the chat, the Günther.
He's a good guy. He contacted me directly and asked permission. Yeah.
He's a funny man. It's a black and a silver version, and I have for you. I sent it.
Oh, for
to you.
me?
Yes.
Very nice.
From
nice.
Günther.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So, habt ihr noch Fragen? Yeah, shipping cost to Switzerland. To Switzerland? Switzerland is not.
Yes, Switzerland is actually one of the countries we're going to be in soon. Italy, Bulgaria. I don't have my list in front of me, but Greece, Switzerland, Sweden. I'm trying to remember what the other ones are.
Switzerland order by Evolv in USA?
No, but I'll have a spot within Europe.
No, Switzerland is not Europe.
No, I know, but it's closer. I'm saying,
okay.
Yeah, to ship to, yeah. So hopefully, but yeah, certainly Switzerland we could. I think that's one of the countries we looked at opening up sooner than later. I'd have to look at my list. We made a list based on the local laws, and Switzerland was one that we marked them different colors so that we knew, which ones.
Green, red, black.
Yeah, you got it. Green, blue, red. There are. The thing that surprised me is how different the TPD regulations are in each of the EU countries. Each country has its own set of, when not having sold to consumers before in Europe, but rather sold to manufacturers who then sold into Europe. I never really had to pay attention to it, but when you start looking at TPD, it's very different country to country. Some countries it's very easy. Other countries they make it extremely difficult. Germany isn't extremely difficult, but it's very tight. Once you have your application, and it still takes 6 months which I think is silly, actually.
It's complete mad.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense. I mean, you would think, especially Germany being, a country that's known for being fastidious and efficient, would have a much more efficient system for this type of thing. But I was surprised that, when we started looking into TPD and Germany, UK, even Italy is extremely restrictive on things. It surprised me because I guess my thought was, okay, there's TPD, it's the same across all countries. It's not at all the same. It's it's every country is its own set of problems. So,
of course. So, was hat Günther gefragt? Warte, der Günther, was denn was gefragt? Kannst die Frage nochmal stellen, Günther? Ich finde die gerade nicht. Okay. In my group, there are many people who have the error press up.
Yes. It's a theme issue. It's something it's on that list of things that need solved. But it's something within the theme that is causing the error.
I have tested it. I personally have tested it the Evolv standard theme.
Okay.
I can make that
You can
the
make it do
message
that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's something you and I need to talk about then, because that is something that needs to be fixed and fixed soon. I'm sure it's a simple programming issue, a very simple programming issue, and it's something we should have fixed by now. So that's on us. That's our fault. You know,
Is it a problem with the memory also?
it could be. It could be. I don't. You know, I don't claim to know. Jim is our programmer, and he's a brilliant, absolutely brilliant guy. And you know, I'm certain I'm not sure he's aware of what causes it, but I'm sure that once he's aware, so I will sit with him. But he watches the forums, so, and I know other people have spoken about this on the forums. He does watch the forums very closely and interacts with people there to try to get to the bottom of that. But he's extremely good, and I'm certain it's like you said, it's either a memory, you know, it could be a memory location issue, it could be something, you know, but it's something that you know, he's certainly up to the task to fix.
Okay.
I don't think it's one of those problems that you can't fix, you know, that we're like, you know, but I will speak with him about that again, because you've brought it up numerous times to me in our private conversations that this is a problem. So.
Yes. Okay, also die arbeiten dran. Ich habe auch oft genug das erwähnt, wenn ich mit Brandon gesprochen habe. Und sie hoffen, dass sie die Fehler genau finden werden, lokalisieren und ausmerzen. Ja, aber es häuft sich, Thomas. Okay, so. Okay. The DNA 100C, when the release is?
You
don't know?
Don't know. I'm not even saying there is a DNA 100C.
Okay.
We're always working on new things. Let's put it that way.
Thanks to Boxer mods.
Yeah. No, but we do have some new things coming. I hope to have those new things, whatever they may be, out before January. So in December, this month.
Okay.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
I'm hoping. That really depends on, you know, where we go with testing. Right now we have multiple boards in testing, and our testing takes a very long time, because we want to make sure that the products we're putting out will last forever. I mean, for a long time, not forever, but of course. But and the only way to do that is to take the time and, you know, torture test these over months and months and months and make sure that everything is going to behave. Okay.
Ja, okay, Mark, das stimmt. A lot of people, jetzt das auf Englisch. Ha!
Hey!
Google Translate helps.
Okay. Well, here, you can just read it to me. Ausglühen auf Englisch. Ausglühen. Some people, when he anneals the wick, it comes the message TC. Why? Okay, so what he's saying is...
No TC activated also?
Interesting. Okay, I don't know on that one. That one's got me. If he could send me more information on that, that would be useful.
Okay, I make it.
If you could hit our help desk, because that'll go directly to Jim. If anything comes in that's a programming issue, it goes directly to Jim if it is a programming error.
Okay.
Okay.
I make it. Yes. The new ships, are they matching sizes of actually ships? So is a change old to new possible?
Yes.
Das muss ich jetzt nicht übersetzen. Yes, is okay.
Yes. We will have versions of all of the chips that will be drop-in ready. So.
Okay, also wird passen. Habe ich euch aber schon mal gesagt. I have a question. The DNA 250C board.
Yes.
Why 400 watt with 4 batteries?
Because we could. We a little bit of that is us just poking fun. It's one of those things that we did it because we could do it, and the board can handle it no problem, and it will put out a true 400 watts. One of the things that bugs us tremendously is that we see other manufacturers putting numbers on screens, on boxes, that they could never reach, and that's bothersome, because if you can't trust what the screen says, you'll notice with all of our chips, you can set it up so that it reads the actual wattage that's being put out. It will change if the battery gets too low to be able to hit 100 watts. It will start to it will show you what it's capable of putting out. That has not been the case, we've found, with a lot of the other all of the other manufacturers, most of the other manufacturers, not all. But we wanted to, that was sort of a thing where we said, well, can we do this? Yes. Should we do this? Probably not, but let's do it anyway. It was fun testing the 400 watts. We had to find an atomizer. The atomizer was that big. And it had 12 coils all the way around it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and so we used that, to test the 400 watts, and that will, if you have the appropriate battery, that will do 400 watts. It's unvapable, in my opinion, but it was almost us poking fun at, because a lot of people had said, well, this manufacturer or that manufacturer is bypassed, has surpassed Evolv in the wattage, but the reality is that the things that they're putting, their boards can't reach, especially with the batteries that they have. I mean, an 18650 has a very, very difficult time getting over 100 watts, or at least it did. Now the 18650s are getting better. From a power standpoint, they can handle more power. So that's not exactly true today, but when you saw some of the claims that some of the other manufacturers were making about, here's 120 watt, or here's on a single 18650, how dumb do they think we are? How stupid do they think the consumer is? It's very difficult. So why did we do a 400 watt board? Because we could, and it'll do a true 400 watts. We're not just putting a number out there. It will do 400 watts. So
I know it.
Ja.
Also ich habe ihn gefragt, warum der den 400 Watt kann. Da sagt er, ja, weil wir was halt können. Und was ihn immer aufregt, dass viele andere Hersteller, du gibst dann ein 120 Watt mit einem 18650 und dann steht dann da, du gibst auch 120 Watt raus, was gar nicht technisch möglich ist. Und beim DNA ist es halt so, das, was draufsteht, wird rausgegeben. Deswegen sind ja auch viele, die umsteigen auf DNA, wundern sich auf einmal, dass sie mit der Leistung vermeintlich runtergehen müssen. Ne? So, okay. Okay, with the TC message, is the ISO I have on a 250C Triade and a 250C drone.
Interesting. So it's only the 3 battery modes. Yeah, if I had more, if somebody could send me more info on that, I'd like to see that. Now that may be, the board, if it sees large fluctuations in resistance, it assumes a TC material. So what it may be seeing is a bad connection. If it sees a bad connection, it can mistake that for for a TC. Let's say you have a poor center pin that heats up when you're pushing 150 watts through it. If that heats up, whether it's made of brass or whatever it's made of, the resistance will increase, and the DNA board may be recognizing that as a coil with, with a change, with a TCR. That may be the case. I don't know. I'd have to, if he told me exactly what he was doing, I could, I have triads. I have, I could set it up exactly the same way and see if,
okay.
Right.
Also schreib mich bitte, Markus, auf Facebook an und schreib mir mal genau auf, was du bemerkt hast und welches Setting etc. pp. Und dann leite ich das mal weiter dann an den Programmierer.
Yeah, if you could send me a settings file, that would be really useful.
Oder dein Setting-File. Okay, send es mir, ich leite das dann weiter. Es muss nicht jeder die E-Mail haben. Okay. Habt ihr noch Fragen? Your time is short, right?
Yeah. I can stay as long as you need me.
Did you know about new mods next year?
Yes, I know. There's a lot of new mods coming, and from some different manufacturers. We've signed up some.
What is with .mod?
What's that?
.mod.
Yes, I've had meetings with .mod. I don't know exactly where they are with that, but yeah, that is one that we've spoken to a number of times. .mod actually started with the DNA 40. Maybe even a 30. They may have even been DNA 30, and then they moved away from the DNAs for a long time. And I don't know. I can't say one way or the other whether they're going to move back. But I do stay in touch with the owner of .mod, and we have talked about him coming back to the DNA family for his stuff. But you'll have to ask .mod about that.
My wish is tiny mods like with DNA DNA 60s with replay. That is my wish.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much all I use when I'm not using the reflex. So is DNA 60 with smaller DNA 60 mods. So,
but DNA 60 don't reflex replay in the future, no?
That's not true. Yeah, that's not the case. There will be, like I said, we're working on new things, and some of them will be quite good. Now, soon, no, but that one is a little bit further off in the future, like sometime in the future. But yeah, we have a whole line of board. We start developing 2 years in advance, so we know 2 years what we're going to have out in 2 years from now. So these boards have been in development for a long time, and so there are some new things. I don't usually say what's coming, but I think people will be happily surprised. So, yeah.
I hope.
Yes.
Are there plans for more devices by Evolv directly? Like bring out their own DNAC devices which are not closed systems?
We've talked about it. I mean, we do make our reference mods available. Our reference mods are not pretty. You have some. We sent you some. Yeah. Will we do that in the future? I can't say for sure. We always have, for every board that we release, we do a design for an internal design. So that we can test it in a actual mod. So we can also give that mod to manufacturers and say, here, this is how you do it right. And most of the manufacturers look at it and say, okay, we can do this, and this. So will that happen in the future? Nothing soon, but yeah, that's very much a possibility. Yes. Not soon though. We don't have any plans to release any mods. Now we do have plans to do more with this, maybe something eventually for the enthusiast vapor that uses the same system but is different. That is something that we, in the future we will probably do.
Okay,
yes.
Also jetzt erstmal nicht und in der nahen Zukunft auch nicht, aber was sie halt wollen, ein Reflex-System für uns Hardcore-Freaks. Da freue ich mich drauf. Okay, inside this live chat, and thanks for being here, Brandon. I hope this will happen more times.
Yes, hey, anytime you want me. I mean, I told you before, I'm happy to come on. As we release the new boards, how about we do that here?
Yeah, okay.
How about the same day? How about the same day we release? I come on and we talk about it.
Then we can talk.
Okay.
And before you send me a board.
Yes. Oh, you'll get a board. Don't worry about that. Matter of fact, I'll probably have one out to you this week. So.
Günther, who makes the Evolv Shield, says, "Hi Brandon, I like the Reflex and think it will help many smokers to get away from smoking with this device. Good work."
I hope he's right. That was one of the intentions. But I also hope that it doesn't get ignored by vapors. I hope vapors who are ex-smokers try this as well. I think the mistake in our messaging has been this is only, the Reflex is only for people looking to quit smoking. That's not the case. What we found is that, people who smoked and are now vapors also enjoy this. So
yes,
I hope people
work.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Right. I hope people don't just dismiss it as, some sort of starter kit or something like that, because it's far from a starter kit. Yeah, I mean, I would.
I've heard from many people that have said USA $120. Oh, it's too much for vape beginners, and you can buy for 13 or 50 bucks, and this is too much to pay. What did you think?
Well, you get what you pay for. This is
that's a good answer.
Yeah. I mean, this is a device that has an enormous amount of tech in it, an enormous amount of tech that does some very, very special things. This is a new e-cigarette. This is not just a new trick. This is a completely new e-cigarette. This is something completely new.
Is it for you a revolution?
I would call this, I think we've had a couple of those. I think wattage was our first one back in 2009. I think that
it's a Darwin.
Right. Temperature control was another. I think eScribe was another that was, game changing from a user perspective. And I think this also is falls into that category. I really do, because this is something completely new. This is not like any other e-cigarette on the market. Nothing is like this. And we spent a lot of time. I can't even tell you. I mean, well, I could, but we spent a lot of money and a lot of time making sure that this product was perfect. Was exactly what we felt like was needed. So yes, is it good at is it going to be very good at converting smokers to vaping? Yes. But is it also something that a guy who's been vaping for 4 years will enjoy? If he was a smoker, yeah, he's going to enjoy it a lot. A lot. That's our hope. So.
And I have to say in my group, each pot was testing.
Each one, each and every pod, each one. And if it does not pass the test, it cannot be packaged. So if they try to put it into a package, it will fail. It will fail the packaging. The way our packaging is set up is that, it has to go through the testing. It's barcoded, and then they have to scan the barcode to package it. And
auf jeder Packung ist ein Barcode. Und wenn ihr das mit dem Handy einscannt, dann sagt er euch, wann die 2 Pots, die dort drin sind, getestet wurden. Und dann ist auf jeden separat auch nochmal ein Barcode drauf. Und dann könnt ihr genau sehen, wie viel oben der hat. When I scan the barcode, it shows me the PSI. What?
Okay, so there's three things you're going to see when you scan the barcode. I don't remember the order, but I think the first is the resistance of the coil. So you're going to see that's plus or minus 1%. So all of these should be extremely close in resistance. The second thing is the wicking tightness. So how tight the wicking is. So how much wicking is there in the device? We test that. We test how much wicking is there. So we have the same amount of wicking in every single one so that it wicks the same. Each pod should wick the same. Right. Yeah, there's your wick flow pressure. So that's how we test the wicking. And then the third is we test for leaks. So that third number is we fill the pod with 10 pounds of pressure and then let it leak off. And that tells us whether there's a leak in the pod. If any of those fall outside of our range, the pod gets thrown away. We throw it away. And it cannot be packaged. So they use all of our equipment. We have a lot of automated test equipment that we sent to the to the people making these pods for us. And they have to go through each step that the pod goes through. It's tested and labeled. And if it's, you can't package a bad pod. You should not be able to package a bad pod, period. So our want was, because so many of these pod mods, you'll get one good pod in a pack of 3. We wanted to make sure that each and every pod was tested in every way that we could test it to make sure it's exactly the same as the last pod. So you always know what to expect. When you put a pod on here, it should be exactly the same as the last pod. You never have one that doesn't wick well, or one that, is too hot, or, or wicks too much and floods. You should not have that.
Okay, es ist unmöglich bei Evolv, dass dort kaputte Pods verpackt werden, weil dann der Computer sagt, ist nicht, weil ja jeder einzelne getestet wird, und egal wann ihr die kauft, die sind immer exakt gleich. Das heißt, ihr habt keinen Unterschied vom Nachfluss etc. Es ist immer gleich, und das ist gut. Right? How long one pod have functionality? I think when you have sent me 2 weeks or so. Yeah.
2 weeks.
And it's the first pot, and I vape every day. Also,
I use 2. I'm always using 2 of these, and I'm almost to week 3 with both of these. So I get typically, I'll change out after 3-4 weeks using 2. Now, keep in mind, that's not using 1, that's using 2. I have different flavors in each, and the pods last a long time. That's probably not good for the vendor, for the vape shop, but they last a long time.
Also Roman, ich dampfe mal schon seit 2 Wochen und Brandon 4 Wochen, allerdings halt mit 2 Geräten. Also die halten schon eine Zeit lang. Ist natürlich auch abhängig von eurem Liquid, was ihr dampft, ne? Also die halten schon ordentlich gut. Are there plans for more modular boards, so it could be actual built into a tube mod? So not the Rater big boards, the 75C or 250C as right now. Also tiny boards for tubes also.
We do have a DNA Go.
Yeah, but DNA Go when you want to order 100 pieces.
Yes, I'm aware. That's true.
That's much for a tiny modder.
Well, we may be able to change that if we had enough interest in the small board. We made 5 different DNA Go boards, and only one of them was bought by, and that was Lost Vape, who bought a ton of the one size. Now, there was an Italian company that used a very square board that fit into a tube. It's very small. That's a DNA Go mod, but the mod it's popular in Italy, but nowhere else. We have boards like that. Should we design a board like that? I'm open. It's not hard to change the shape of a board as long as it's the same amount of space. I mean, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy. But we could do that. Yes. I mean, if there was a market for, if things are going back to round, this board is made for a very small, something ego-sized or smaller.
Yeah, but many modders in Germany want this board, but they say 100, it's too much. Too much.
Too much. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, we may be able to lower that a little bit to accommodate. I mean, we're Evolv. We love the small modder. That is the small modder is the guy that we protect the most because, and I understand that 100 is a lot. But the board is not tremendously expensive either. So, it's, but yeah, is that something we've looked at before? Yes. We have to go where the market goes, especially with the board business, because, we listen carefully to what people want. And if people want a board that fits into a round device, we could change the DNA 75 to fit into a round device. We could change the DNA 60 to fit into a round device. Just no one has asked me that recently. I don't know of anyone asking for a board that would fit into a small round mod. I mean, I haven't been asked that in a very long time. Maybe back in 2012, but not since then. Yeah.
Also guckt, dass mal die Stückzahlen runtersetzt, damit dann Modder das kaufen können. Mark Dirsus, will the new boards come with USB-C? You have
yes.
Answer it. Yes. Ja, wird kommen. All new boards that's coming has USB-C or?
Both. There's going to be different versions. Some of the ones that will drop into where the old boards went will have USB micro B as an option, because then they don't have to change the design. Let's say a high-end modder has a design that he really likes and doesn't want to change. He has a lot of parts for it. We wanted to give him the option of dropping in a board that would fit directly into the place of the old board. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah, there'll be different versions of some of the new boards, and that's simply to protect some of the small modders who may not want to change their design. Maybe they have a very popular design that they.
I understand. Also es wird Version rauskommen mit USB-C und ohne, halt mit dem Micro-USB für die Modder, die halt schon Gehäuse fertig haben und würden da gerne ein neues Board einbauen, also von der nächsten Generation, und dann brauchen die dort nichts ändern. Okay, jetzt mich ja, genau. Okay, the new boards is the charging ampere software control, so I can lower the charging power to get longer lived batteries.
Yes.
Kann man dann einstellen.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
Fine. That's fine.
Yeah, which is smart. That's a smart user.
Yeah.
I always turn mine down. I always turn the top end down because I don't want it to charge fully. I want it to charge almost fully. And I also
charging. I have see the reflex when I have loaded, and when it's full, then I think
light turns green.
It turns green, and half hour later also it
shuts
cut
off. Huh? Right. Okay, because what's happening there is once it gets to the very top of the battery, it starts to charge very slowly. So what's happening is once it turns green, it's not quite at the top, but it's almost to the top. So once it charges fully, it will turn green. But here's the reality. Once it's green, you can pull it off charge. I mean, you don't have to pull it off charge. You can leave it plugged in. All of our boards are very safe from a charging standpoint. They're actually better than the charger you have on your counter.
Safe
in
is a
most cases.
big point for Evolv, right?
It is extremely important to us. These have redundant safety systems built in, especially the Reflex. The Reflex has a bunch of safety systems built into it, so that it keeps the user safe. All of our boards have extremely good charging circuits in them, and you should never be afraid to charge a DNA board or a battery in a DNA mod. You don't need to take the battery out to charge it. As a matter of fact, I would say that our chargers in our boards are better than the chargers in your, in your
home.
Yeah, home charger.
Yeah. All my DNAs inside load. All.
We spend a lot of time making sure that what we put out is going to work and work safely, extremely safely.
So, jetzt möchte ich aber auch mal prallen, meine lieben Leute. What do you think about the German DNA crew?
I love it. I love the German DNA crew. Are you kidding me? No, I mean, that's, I read a lot of what's posted. I'm part of your Facebook group. I just don't post anything because I'm not on Facebook. But I go on there to read. No, I mean, the thing that impresses me about just that group is how technically savvy everybody seems to be. I mean, they get it. A lot of times we'll bring something out and for a certain reason, and a lot of people just miss that. They don't understand the reason we did what we did. And it seems to me that, both John and I read the comments, and they just seem to get it. They get why we're doing what we're doing. So that makes me happy. I mean, there's nothing worse than putting something out and having somebody misunderstand it. So
I am and my team, we want to help anyone who have problems with DNA and
yeah, I think one of the reasons people don't buy DNA boards is because they think they're complex. They're not complex. They're only complex if you make them complex. They should work out of the box without ever plugging them into eScribe just fine. But for those people that want to really fine tune, what we did with eScribe was give the user, the consumer, all of the things that we would normally give to the manufacturer. So we said, you know what? Why should the manufacturer make all of the decisions? Let's give it to the user. Let the user make the decision.
And it's optional.
Yes, and it's optional. But yeah, I mean, some of the things that I've seen, it's really interesting watching the themes develop. And I mean, I go in and load different themes that I see, somebody will put up a new theme, I'll go load it just to see. And there's some really, so much better than what we do. It's so much better. There are some really, really good themes out there. Way better than the stuff we've done.
Our German DNA crew theme, we have worked 10 months for it.
Wow.
10 months.
Wow. Well, they're extremely good.
Looking, errors, okay, then we'll make it so and so.
Right.
10 months.
Yeah. It's awesome. So, yeah.
Okay. It's, about the YouTuber who has a say in Germany, replay is TC.
It's not TC.
I have tell it you the steam. I have say the steam shots, the steam shits.
Yeah. it is partially TC, but it's a TC selected by the user on feel. It's partially TC, so he's not completely wrong.
You can make a TC on when you want. Yes.
It does control temperature to whatever your liking is, but it also does some very, very, very complex things that are not TC. If you watch it, anybody who's opened up Device Monitor and watched it knows that it's not just doing that. It's doing some other very unique things. That's the thing that surprised me the most, is that we haven't seen replay copied yet. I think one other company tried and it was a miserable failure, but it's very difficult to do. You have to do everything right. Just like with the Reflex, everything has to be done right, or the whole system doesn't work.
One mistake and it's not functionality.
It doesn't work. No, none. Yeah, or it functions very badly, and somebody has a bad user experience. So for it to work perfectly, you have to have everything, and it's hard to do. It's extremely. I can't understate how hard this device was for us, because it's extremely difficult to do. Yeah.
Okay. Have you think about open source or plugins so the community can make even more features for the DNA boards?
We're trying to open up as much of that part of it as we can. That's what the theme designer was a part of that. We wanted to allow, more, but
adjustable.
Right, but there are only so many things. Say what you end up with, you get into safety issues if you allow certain areas to be changed. So we've been careful not to allow. I mean, there are things you can change right now that we're careful not to open up too much, because it only takes one guy doing the wrong thing to make the e-cigarette go. So that's our thought. It's not that we don't want to share all parts of what we do. It's just that certain things, we don't want to put any users at risk if somebody puts out a bad settings file or something like that. So we want to be careful not to change the things that affect safety, not to allow changes to the things, but everything else is game. So as we get further down the road with new boards and new things in these boards, there's going to be more to eScribe. eScribe's going to get, eScribe's already complex. It's going to get, you're going to have the ability to change things that you couldn't before. But yeah, I understand what they're saying. And would I like to open up everything to everybody? Yes. Can I do that and still sleep at night? Because all it takes is one guy not knowing what he's doing, and he could put users at risk. No, that's where I draw the line.
Okay, es wird in Zukunft mehr Möglichkeiten geben, allerdings ist der Brandon darauf bedacht halt, dass nicht zu viele Dinge offen sind, die gefährlich werden könnten, nur weil ein User meint, ach, ich mache das jetzt mal so und so ein Ding geht hoch und die Negativpresse haut dann zu. Das wollen sie natürlich nicht. Fnu, okay, the man comes too late in. The Reflex release on Germany market.
I don't know. I'm after this. I'm going to talk to the two distributors that we're talking to, and hopefully I'll have an answer for you. I'll WhatsApp you the answer that they give me. Hopefully they'll have it on the market soon. There, that's my hope.
Roman, die Frage wurde schon gestellt. Erstmal jetzt nicht. Allerdings wird ein Reflex-System kommen, was mehr für die User ist, die spielen wollen. Also mit vielen Einstellmöglichkeiten etc. pp. Okay. It's the best chip on the market. Ja.
Thank you. Dankeschön.
Dankeschön. When American speak German, it's so funny.
Sorry. Like I said, I have a little bit of German. That's it.
So, okay, habt ihr noch Fragen? I think that's all questions for the first time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to come back anytime you'd like.
Yeah.
Anytime.
When's the new board released? Then we make a
hopefully this month. That's the want, but we're really bad at meeting deadlines. I don't know if you've seen. It's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult to know exactly when something is fully cooked and ready to release, but we're very close. Let's put it that way. So.
Max Dirsus, I have a question. Will there be test examples for the community?
Okay, what does that mean?
Was meinst du genau, Marc? Was für Test-Dinger? Meinst du jetzt mit neue Boards oder was? Musst du mir jetzt schon genauer mitteilen. Wait for the answer. When COVID-19 and so is go away, you come to Germany?
I absolutely am coming to Germany. That's one of my very first places I'm going is Germany. Because I was there. I was talking to you.
Yes,
I was intending to come there, but then they started to close. They started to turn planes away at the airport when I was there at Heathrow, and I got scared and went home. I didn't want to get stuck in the UK.
He means a reflex system samples for users.
Samples to users. I have somebody in the UK. Yeah, somebody in the UK is handling that for me. So
they tested it.
Well, yeah, we've tested. There's been a lot of testing on there, but no, as far as giving out, samples to people who are interested, yeah, we've been doing that for some time in UK, Germany. You have one. I wanted to see what your thought was on that. You have several, actually.
Yeah. When I was working, my partners they smoke, and I say test this and this, and they're testing and say give me that. They want the reflex, the smokers.
Yeah. Well, the reflex should be very much like a cigarette. That was our intention. So
one question: is Brandon familiar with the German decoders?
Yeah, of course, absolutely, good boards.
But the usability is old school, I think.
Yeah, it's very old school, but yeah, of course I'm familiar with decodes or decodes. Is that how you pronounce it there?
Decoders.
Decoders. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for coming, Brandon.
No problem. Anytime. Yep. And like I said, when we get closer to the release of the next new board, I'll come back that day. We'll do it the day I release. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you for having me.
I think too. Don't go to sleeping. You must work.
Yes. Exactly what I have to do. I only got about 4 hours sleep last night.
What's the time now in Ohio?
The time is what time is it? It's 1:30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're 6 hours ahead of us. So it's 7:30 there. Yep. So, but I'm not an early riser. I am I work very late. Very,
Brandon,
very late.
happy holiday to you and your family.
Oh,
holiday in USA?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it was but we're coming into the holiday season, which is we have a holiday Thanksgiving. So between Thanksgiving and Christmas is sort of a lot of people take vacation, and
And your 2 dogs, all right?
My 2 dogs are fine. As a matter of fact, they're locked upstairs because they would be making appearances here. I have two big dogs. Yeah. So
when you play, it's rah!
Yeah, exactly. So, and I have people working on my house outside. So I don't know if you can see it out the back window. There's people working out there.
Don't see it.
Yeah, but all right. Well, okay. Well, I will be back hopefully in a couple of weeks.
I think so, ja. Wait, nee, das ist ja hier live auf YouTube. Das wird ja sowieso aufgezeichnet. Das könnt ihr euch dann aus der Konserve angucken. Okay. So, Brandon, okay, we go offline now and
okay.
Wir danken